Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gash, producers of the finest tomato paste in the Gambia. Jaja tomato paste, available in 5 kilos, 1 kilo and in sachets. For wholesale and retail, visit our factory at Banjulunding. We are also producers of Jaja mineral water, cool, clear and fresh. Gash, Gambia, Angola, China Holding, with headquarters at Fatu Golden Plaza, Mile 7, Bertel Harding Highway. Gash Group also provides the best security company, Gash Security, for your offices, warehouses, homes and personal property. Gash Group for all your construction projects, offering you quality water reticulation for your gardens, pump irrigation, tidal irrigation projects and all types of buildings. You can contact Gash on 396-7894, 700-8993, 373-0259. Visit us at Gash Global Group on Battle Harden Highway, Fatu Golden Plaza. Our website www.gashglobal.com. Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gash.
It's a warm reception to our studio here in Serekunda. This is Star TV News with me, Dado Chan. In the headlines tonight, in a press release, President Adama Barrow to preside over swearing-in ceremony. President Barrow continues site visit in URR and CRR. Schools to reopen on the 14th and 28th October respectively. Manjako slams CRC for failing to capture Gulf concerns. Make 3D in partnership with YEP donates 1,000 locally made face shields to Ministry of Health. On the international scene, UK Prime Minister faces new leadership obstacles. Pakistan floats, more than 1 million people struggle to recover. Thousands flee northern Mozambique as violence attacks surged. Those were the headlines, and now the news in details. In a press release from State House to media houses, the public is hereby informed that His Excellency President Adama Barrow will preside over the swearing-in ceremony of newly appointed public officials tomorrow, Thursday, 8th October 2020 at 10 a.m. at the State House. 2 Supreme Court judges, President of the Court of Appeal, Judicial Secretary, and the Minister of Youth and Sport will take their oaths as they take up their respective responsibilities in the service of the nation. The release ends. His Excellency President Adama Barrow on Sunday continued his site visit in Upper River Region and Central River Region as he inspects the ongoing Basewuli Bridge, with is under construction. He also inaugurated the Canning Road, which connects Bush Town and Dubo. This new road was embedded with the Lamin Koto Pasamers Road project. Maria Madam tells us more.
After laying the Basse Market foundation stone, President Barrow continued inspecting his project sites such as the Basse Bridge, which is under construction among other bridges within URR and CRR. These bridges were funded at a tune of $88 million. However, during his remarks at the Basse Bridge, President Barrow reveals his impression by the level of work in progress despite the COVID-19 hindrance. And he took the opportunity to show appreciation and thank his project partners for their commitment towards the project.
COVID affected the entire world. But despite COVID, under difficult circumstances, people were able to sacrifice to move on. I think this is a clear manifestation of commitment, the commitment of the Chinese government to Gambia government. This is a clear indication that our bilateral is really working. And we are really happy about that. This is not about politics. This is about Gambia. This is about national duty. Because we have seen other countries, despite COVID, they are now innovative enough to move on. We said no, COVID cannot stop our life. It cannot stop Gambia moving. So let us also be innovative. Social distancing, we put on masks, we move on. Life has to continue. And we believe that we have to live with COVID. That's why we have been brave enough, we are innovative, to make sure that we come here and move on. But I'm really excited. I am happy. When I came, I was not even looking at the bridge. I was looking at the environment. That alone have made a big difference. So once more again, I have to seize this opportunity to thank the Chinese government, the president of China, through the ambassador here. The former ambassador and this ambassador, they have been very, very committed to our cause. That's why even COBIC, they gave us support under difficult circumstances. So they are our friends. Before you know your friends when things are difficult, that's the time you can know who is your friend and who is your enemy. So they have been our friends. We say a big thank you to the
The bridge will be completed in August 2021, and upon completion, it is expected to ease traveling challenges from Basse to Uli, and also to boost the economic activities within these areas, and it will also strengthen efforts to provide funds for other development projects to take place. Meanwhile, the president also proceeded to Sami in CRR to open the Kaleng Road that connects to Bustown, as thousands of people welcomed President Barrow. This 18 kilometers Kaleng Road is an addition to the Lamin Koto Pasamas Road that was inaugurated earlier this year. Modou Cisse is the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Transport, Works and Infrastructure.
This route, Keleng to Bustown, Keleng Kata Bustown, is an 18-kilometer route that used to take a journey time of 1.5 hours. With the route now, it has reduced the journey time to less than 15 minutes.
Before the Sisao, the Alcalde of Sami showed appreciation and thanked President Barrow for his efforts in bringing development to his people, as he noted that the president and his government have brought them development within 4 years that they couldn't have in 50 years. The governor of CRR, Abbas Sanyang, and the chief of Sami district, Moro Chaula, also made similar remarks and further appealed to the president to bring in more development for them. The president, however, said his government is committed in bringing development for its people, and further promised farmers that his government will buy all the groundnuts cultivated in the country this year with a good price, as they will also add 12% of the actual price. Maria Madem, reporting for Star TV News.
The Honorable Minister of Basic and Secondary Education informed all students, teachers, parents and stakeholders that school will reopen for grade 7 and 12 on the 14th October 2020 and for ECD to grade 6 on the 28th October 2020. She says that maximum attention will be paid to the necessary health regulations that will ensure safe school environments for the good of all students, teachers and every staff within the school settings. Yamundo Coker reports.
The minister said that throughout history, there has never been a time as critical and as challenging as the one we are in, which is confronting the education system in the Gambia and the world in general, but more specifically, parents, teachers, learners, and all stakeholders in the education sector. She recalled that in March, around the first time the COVID-19 case was recorded, all educational facilities were ordered to close as a measure towards controlling transmission of the virus and keeping the population safe. The minister assured parents, teachers and students that this was not an easy decision, as the prolonged closure of schools, which we are all aware of, has severely affected all students in all educational settings, with the unintended effect of great learning loss and psychosocial consequences revolving around learners being at home for such long periods. The ministry is aware that this situation has seriously deepened inequalities in learning and access to basic health, nutrition services, and negatively affected the most vulnerable segments of the population, such as the poor, the girl child, rural population, and those with special educational needs. Being aware of the potential effects of learning and other related losses, my ministry, in collaboration with partners, had put in place measures to ensure continuity in learning through the radio and TV programs, she said. At this point, the minister commended parents and caregivers for the role they have played over the last 6 months, safeguarding both the well-being of their children and ensuring their participation in the media-based learning initiatives. Similarly, the minister appreciates the responsible and positive behavior of teachers and students have displayed during this difficult period, as it gave us the courage to explore learning modes via the TV, radios and other social media platforms as alternatives to the conventional practices. It was based on that we have the confidence to partially resume schools for the grade 9 and 12 students to complete their syllabus and also to sit their terminal examinations this year. You will be pleased to know that about 24,348 students successfully sat the GABESI. This reflects an increase of 3.44% from the previous year. Also, 14,323 students sat for the WAS, representing an increase of 3.10%. Undoubtedly, this confirms the willingness of students and teachers to resume schooling, and for this, she wants to convey her sincere gratitude to all who were involved. She added that parents, teachers, students and all other stakeholders that she is aware of their concern for the ministry to reopen schools after many months of closure, and she wants to assure that they all share the concern, including the government top leadership. The minister said that the ministry is committed to ensure that schools in the Gambia continue to provide and operate in a safe and secure environment, free of abuse and exploitation of children, and also to facilitate children's access to vulnerable school-based services such as health, school feeding, mental health and psychosocial support, water, sanitation, protection and above all, rewarding learning opportunities. With this and the collaboration of the stakeholders, more especially students and parents, we are optimistic of a safe schooling reopening for all. In conclusion, the minister made a gentle appeal to parents that while sewing their children's uniform, they could do a mask or two using the same material for uniformity, bearing in mind that wearing a mask is compulsory for everybody. Reporting for Star TV News, I am Yamundo Kuka.
Nominated National Assembly member Honorable Manjako Samusa had blasted the Constitutional Review Commission for not taking into account the recommendations and concern from the Gambia Armed Forces in the draft constitution. Member speaks on what he thought about the rejection of the new draft constitution and the reason as to why it's being rejected by the National Assembly members. Our Sani tells us more.
Honorable Majanko Samusa said the Constitutional Review Commission (CRC) failed to amend the draft constitution and capture the concerns and recommendations of the armed forces, which are very important to the draft constitution. The country can make comparison with other countries regarding the constitution, but not directly, he said. He also said that he voted against the draft constitution because the country's constitution has to be in line with our culture and should be in favor of the citizens.
In any law, any country, your culture is one of the reasons, because if you don't capture those things, you don't safeguard those in your cultures, understand, you create problems. Because every day, every second, people will be in problem. So the protection of your culture is very fundamental. So these are things also they ignore. They just feel that they are lawyers, understand, they think they are indispensable, they can say anything, they can just make anything when they come, nobody is not challenged. That was the saddest mistake. They underrate the ability of the National Assembly.
The nominated MP went on to say that the CRC underrated the 1997 Constitution and thought that they could do things without consulting the National Assembly. According to him, the first draft constitution, which was made by the Constitutional Review Commission with the report, should be taken to the National Assembly to engage them and have dialogue with the National Assembly for them to know each other's stand while the process was going on, so that when the National Assembly is preparing the final draft, they will know collectively the interest of the people, adding that they represent the people, but it was rather unfortunate.
The Constitution said 75%, at least. Yes, should be 42, understand, to make it pass. I think the Parliament is 58, 57, but at least we have 42, understand. Yes, then it would have been passed. But I'm telling you, even if 16 member refuse to endorse it, it cannot go.
Honorable Samusa added that the CRC wasted the taxpayers' money for nothing regarding the change of the draft constitution. He said that the constitution does not belong to the president only, but instead to the Gambian people at large. He concluded in making it clear that allegations which was made against him was false and the draft constitution is already been buried, and not even a demonstration or any other thing can change it, since the law says it doesn't have the qualification to go for a referendum. Reporting for Star TV News, I am Awasane.
Make 3D Company Limited, in partnership with the Youth Empowerment Project and International Trade Center, together donated 1,000 locally made printed face shields to the Ministry of Health to help fight against the coronavirus pandemic in the Gambia. Jacqueline Colley has the rest of the details.
Make 3D is a company based in the Gambia involved in 3D printing, 3D modeling, workshops, education and prototyping. The company, in partnership with YEP and ICT, made 1,000 locally made face shields to help against the coronavirus pandemic in the Gambia. The director of Make 3D Company Limited, Fatuju Kadabo, highlighted that the face shields are locally made in the Gambia in partnership with Mbolo and its other partners. She said they believe as Gambians, they do not have to always rely on what is being imported. She added that when COVID-19 started, there were shortage of PPEs and face shields nationwide, because countries that were producing such held into theirs to fight against the pandemic in their own territories. As a 3D printing company, they believe this was the way to step in and produce not only face shields but other important devices in the country locally. The face shield could be made using solar machines as well as 3D machines. Babukar Sala, technical advisor and operations officer at the International Trade Center, said the shields will be distributed to health centers across the country. He said the main objective is to contribute to the fight against the coronavirus and support the health sector with regards to the necessary PPEs so they could work effectively. The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Muhammadu Jaite, who received the donations on behalf of the Minister of Health, showed the light to the kind gesture and encouraged others to emulate the gesture for a stronger fight against the pandemic in the Gambia. Jacqueline Colley, reporting for Star TV News.
Those were the local stories. We will be back with the international news.
Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gosh, producers of the finest tomato paste in the Gambia. Jeja tomato paste, available in 5 kilos, 1 kilo and in sachets. For wholesale and retail, visit our factory at Banjulunding. We are also producers of Jeja mineral water, cool, clear and fresh. Gosh, Gambia, Angola, China Holding, with headquarters at Fatu Golden Plaza, Mile 7, Bertel Harding Highway. Gosh Group also provides the best security company, Gash Security, for your offices, warehouses, homes and personal property. Gash Group for all your construction projects, offering you quality water reticulation for your gardens, pump irrigation, tidal irrigation projects and all types of buildings. You can contact Gash on 396-7894, 700-8993, 373-0259. Visit us at Gash Global Group on Battle Harden Highway, Fatu Golden Plaza. Our website www.gashglobal.com. Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gash.
And now the news beyond our borders. The United Kingdom's Prime Minister should be enjoying a golden period with a huge election being and an exit of the European Union seal. But Boris Johnson's leadership is under a cloud and he is hoping for this 20th ever Conservative Party conference to blow it away. Ajazila Juna reports from Birmingham.
The diary says Conservative Party conference. The empty hall screams pandemic. There hasn't been an audience in Birmingham's Symphony Hall since March. Party members, activists, strategists and journalists have to book slots to meet ministers on Zoom. COVID-19 has done for conference what it's done for the country's economy and for the Prime Minister's popularity. This should have been the moment when a triumphant Boris Johnson swept through these halls revelling in adulation. Instead, he's got to try and build bridges with his party and do it online.
Mother Nature has savaged us with COVID. But with the help of basic natural phenomena, we will build back and bounce back greener. And this government will lead that green industrial revolution.
The headline promise of a post-COVID wind power revolution may sound to some like blustery rhetoric, ringing hollow like these empty corridors. A recent poll among party members ranked Johnson the second least liked member of the entire cabinet.
What one sees in the most recent polls is not just dissatisfaction with Boris Johnson's leadership, but surprise on the part of the people who are dissatisfied that we thought he'd be able to do better. We thought he'd be a better communicator. We thought he'd be able to rally people around the crisis and get the message across effectively.
This is the Midlands. Dozens of mainly working-class constituencies up here swung from Labour to the Conservatives in December's landslide election win, based largely on Johnson's leadership. You're a fan of Boris, right?
Yeah, huge fan.
You think he's done well?
Yeah, absolutely, especially for business person and especially for Brexit as well, you know.
But you don't have to look far for signs that things are changing.
Find his leadership weak. I don't really believe much that he has to say. I don't think I'd vote for Boris Johnson again, if I'm honest, after all this.
You think he's the right man for the job still?
I don't really see anyone else up there to take his place who's better than Boris, so I'll stick with Boris for now.
If a vaccine puts life back to normal, and if a Brexit trade deal is reached to limit the economic damage, then Johnson may again see the sunny uplands of majority government. But Brand Johnson, like Brand Britain, is taking a major knock this year. Jonah Hull, Al Jazeera, Birmingham.
In southern Pakistan province, more than 1 million people are struggling to recover from 2 months of devastating flooding. Agencies in southern Pakistan are appealing for the help, as hundreds of thousands have lost their homes and livelihood. Residents in rural province who have lost livestock and crops say they are abandoned by the government. Al Jazeera Chaklo reports.
The rains began in August. In the southern port city of Karachi, they were the heaviest in almost a century. They lashed the surrounding province of Sindh. For 2 months, monsoon rains fell on already sodden ground, resulting in devastating floods. The World Food Programme and Sindh government believe that more than 1.2 million people have lost more than 90% of their belongings and crops.
20 families live here and our village has been swept away. We haven't received any tents or rations yet. Now we are under the open skies seeking mercy from God.
Residents in rural Sindh say they feel abandoned by the government. They have been worst hit. Most families have lost livestock, nearly all their crops are ruined, and 2/3 of irrigation infrastructure is damaged.
We lost everything in these floodwaters, our house, our cattle and our belongings. We hardly saved anything. There isn't any help from the government and we're faced with starvation and we don't have any money to rebuild our house.
The Sindh government declared a state of emergency in late August. They say they're assessing the damage to infrastructure like roads and communications, but are overwhelmed.
I strongly protested with the federal government about their apathy towards this disaster. I asked them several times to call international agencies and friendly countries to help at this crucial time, to reach out to these poor people, but there was no response.
Hundreds of thousands of people have been displaced. Some have found safety on embankments, although there are widespread shortages of food and clean drinking water. Residents lack basic amenities, including toilets. The World Food Programme says it is particularly concerned with winter approaching and the threat of waterborne diseases.
We expect assistance to continue at least through to the end of November and perhaps into the middle of December. At least in terms of relief support for those people who've lost their homes. This will be a critical part of an ongoing effort right now.
In an area known as the breadbasket of Sindh, there is little to be harvested. People rely on the rain for their livelihoods, but this year it took much more than it gave. Charlotte Bellis, Al Jazeera.
Thousands of people in Mozambique continue to flee armed groups linked to ISIS group. They have gained ground in northern areas and accounts to torture and atrocities are emerging. More than 2,000 people have been killed and 300,000 displaced. Al Jazeera Michael reports.
Julieta Carlos says she's never seen anything like the recent attack on her village in Mozambique by an armed group in all of the 79 years she's been alive.
We saw our houses burned and they started beheading people. We ran away. Our home is far from here and it took us about 2 weeks to get here.
Now she's among hundreds hoping to find food and shelter here at a centre for displaced people near the town of Pemba. Everyone tells similar stories. Musa Asane says the fighters abducted many children. He was lucky to escape with his.
They wouldn't let us leave. Then they took us to a school and read out our names. Then they beheaded them with a machete while everyone was watching.
The attackers are from armed groups who say they want to create an Islamic State. Their attacks on the mainly Muslim population began sporadically 3 years ago. This year they've grown stronger, occupying some towns in Cabo Delgado province. For nearly 2 months, they've controlled the port town of Mocimboa de Praia. They've made regular attacks on other towns, roads in the province, and some islands too. That's made the town of Palma only accessible by air. And they're steadily getting closer to the Afungi Peninsula, around which there are tens of billions of dollars worth of natural gas deposits. The deposits lie offshore in the Indian Ocean. International oil companies, including Total and Eni, have invested billions of dollars in preparation to extract it. The local population's been marginalised and most have lived in poverty for generations. Watching the investments and foreigners getting jobs has seeded discontent and fueled the rebellions, which some analysts say could stop the gas projects entirely.
I really think that one of the possibilities is that these projects will not go forward, because if the costs become so high, they will stop, and there is gas and oil nearby in Tanzania, in other places.
Mozambique's armed forces have steadily lost ground to the armed groups. Military support from the European Union and funding from the US are both being discussed, but nothing's been finalised yet. Securing the coastal gas extraction facilities might be possible. Securing the 2 million people who live across the province will be much more difficult. Malcolm Webb, Al Jazeera.
And before we end the news, a recap of our main headlines. In a press release, President Adama Barrow to preside over swearing-in ceremony. President Barrow continues site visit in URR and CRR. Schools to reopen on the 14th and 28th October respectively. Manjako slams CRC for failing to capture Gulf concerns. Make 3D in partnership with YEP donates 1,000 locally made face shields to Ministry of Health. On the international scene, UK Prime Minister faces new leadership obstacles. Pakistan floods, more than 1 million people struggle to recover. Thousands flee northern Mozambique as violence attacks surged. And that's all for this edition of the news. Thank you for watching and join us for tomorrow's news. Thank you.